Right, we all love a predictions video on the channel. They always age well. This achievement, which would be the second biggest achievement, doing 10 in a row, because I'm going to list 5 key reasons why Celtic will beat Rangers on Saturday.
So I think if we could get Duffy as part of a back three, he could deal with, the big physical target man and almost leave Julian and Ayer to get on with things.
I think we're going to do them. So let's look to the future once again and ponder what Celtic could look like next season. Right, the first thing to say is we will have our hope back next season. It's the bare minimum that you should have as a football fan, but as Celtic fans, we've not really had hope for the last 6 or 7 months of this season. You look across the city and they finally won a major trophy for the first time, I think, in 10 years. And every single summer for the last decade, they've been the pre-season champions. They've had the hope. So I think after all that time, them still having hope, I think we'll be fine after just one season. So the hope will be back. Fans will be back too. Obviously, it's pretty hard to tell what way COVID's going to play out, especially when there's new strains of the virus emerging. But I do think that we'll have fans at our first home game of next season. I'm actually going to predict a number. I'm going to go 15,000. And I think that number will rise as more people are vaccinated in the months following that. So hope will be back. Fans will be back. And let's just admit that fans being back is probably one of the most important things, even prior to seeing how next season goes. Just the fact that we'll be able to go back and watch Celtic play in the flesh. The manager won't be John Kennedy. And I don't think it will be one of those tired, washed up names that are being suggested in the media as well. I think it will be someone exciting who can start a project that fans will buy into. I'm not going to predict names, but I think it will be someone up and coming. I'm not sure it will be a high profile name as such, but I think it will be a manager that the majority of the support will be happy. You're never going to please everyone, but I think the majority of the support will be happy with the appointment. Dominic Mackay coming in as well. I think it may take a bit of time for some of his ideas and methods to be seen at the club, some of the longer term ones, but I think equally some of his short term stuff should be seen pretty soon. I'm talking about the main one, communication with supporters. I really, really hope he wants to come in and have a grown-up conversation with supporters. For too long, the club have treated the supporters as infants. They have come to us whenever they wanted something, but not really given us anything in return, certainly off the pitch. So I would hope that Dominic Mackay would come in, treat us as adults. I would hope that the days of social media silence after poor results would certainly go. I would hope that there was a whole new tone taken on social media. The happy birthdays and the on this days would certainly be toned down, if not taken away altogether. We really have to come into the 21st century and speak to supporters on a level playing field as opposed to what happens now. So that's another big change, and stuff like that should feed into the whole atmosphere around the support, which should already be pretty buoyant. We'll be without our talisman Odsonne Edouard, I would think, possibly Christopher Ajer and a few other players as well. But on the plus side, we'll have pretty much a whole new team of players that we know not too much about, and few things get fans more excited than transfers and new signings, and being able to watch those new signings and the honeymoon period for new signings and all of that kind of thing. The reason I say that we should be excited about the wholesale changes on the playing staff next season as opposed to scared of it is that I think over the last 20 years, whenever Celtic have really changed things, changed a manager or changed quite a lot of players in the squad, we've usually actually benefited as a result. You look at Martin O'Neill's first season, we win a treble. Brendan Rodgers' first season, we win a treble. Even Neil Lennon's first full season as manager of the club, I think it was season 2010-2011. We didn't win the league that season, but if you asked a lot of Celtic fans, they would say that was a hugely successful and enjoyable season. We had new players like Beram Kayal, Gary Hooper, Joe Ledley, Anthony Stokes, and it was a really enjoyable time to support Celtic. So I think that will be there next season because things have gone so stale this season. And fans not being at games has certainly been a part of that feeling. But having a new team of players next year to get excited about will be absolutely huge. And again, that'll feed into the atmosphere and the support. In addition to that, and fans being back at the games, I think the Scottish Premiership will be a better league next year. Hearts will almost certainly be back, and they are our second biggest rivals in the league. A lot of fans would put Tynecastle right at the top of their list of favourite grounds to visit, and hopefully Celtic fans can visit Tynecastle next season. But just games against Hearts, replacing, say, games against Hamilton or Ross County from this season, is a massive change. Aberdeen will have a new manager as well, some big names been linked with that. Scott Brown's even been mentioned as a potential player coach at Pittodrie, so the overall league I think will be of a better standard. In Europe, things will be slightly different. Each summer over the last decade, the manager of Celtic, whether he's a new manager or a manager following on from winning the league the previous season, the expectation has always been, you get us through these Champions League qualifiers and into the Champions League group stage. That just isn't going to be the case next season, and I hope the whole support realises that. We're going in with 3 qualifiers to play in the Champions League next season, but most crucially, we'll be in the non-champions route, so we can play some of the bigger teams from the bigger leagues, counting away England, Spain and Germany and Italy as well, I think. But teams from France, teams from Russia, teams from Ukraine, from Austria could be our opposition in qualifiers next year. So it is a tough ask. I think a more realistic aim for the new Celtic manager will be getting to the Europa League group stage, although I wouldn't even count out the possibility of us ending up in the Conference League next season. How would fans react to that? We probably would turn our nose up a little bit at that, but it could be the perfect breeding ground for a new Celtic team to learn and develop on the European stage. But the emphasis will, of course, be on the domestic football and regaining our dominance there. That's what matters most to the support, and that's what should therefore matter most to the management and players. You may see this video as if I'm being too positive, maybe slightly unrealistic, but everything I say in this video I think has merit, and I think a lot of it will be the case. I'm not making any daft claims like I have in the past in this video. We will have a new manager. It won't be John Kennedy, and I think it will be a good appointment. It all kind of hinges on the managerial appointment, but if the club get that right and supporters buy into it, I do feel like everything else will fall into place. The very fact that fans will be back at games next season in some limited capacity, growing as the season goes on, I think is a really positive thing, and that will really harness the feel-good factor around the club. Things change really quickly in football, and we seem really down in the dumps at the moment. My face has been, tripping me for the last 4 or 5 months on the channel, but I do think that we are not far away from being positive about Celtic again. It's just a case of getting through the next couple of months. Hopefully the club are working hard in the background to get the managerial appointments right, to get the director of football appointment right, looking at player recruitment, that kind of stuff. And if they do get all that right, I think the feel-good factor around the club will return, and there's no reason why we can't use next season as a springboard to build Celtic forward.